A lot of you asked about Turkish coffee making process from start to finish without cuts. So today we're doing just that. And I'm using espresso roast coffee, which is in set number 2 acidic. So it's interesting coffee. And I'm gonna brew let's brew 9 grams. Because today I'm gonna use relatively slow heating because we have another request. People have problems with the foam. They don't have white foam. So in order to have white foam, you need to mix the crust. And water will dissolve CO2 at reaching around 60 degrees Celsius. So it will be most efficient. The grind size is 1 number continue, 1 rotation. So it is 0 number, not full rotation. In some videos I've used relatively hot water, like 40 plus degrees Celsius, and it was easier for water to dissolve CO2 right in the first mixing, especially when I'm using 60 degrees Celsius. So today, cold water. $90 barely fits. That's why we're gonna use slow heating. So it is very tricky to brew such doughs in such jazz because it requires precision. Trying to mix it well. As you can see, it's some mess currently. So, in terms of framing, as you can see, the crust is here already. I'm setting a very slow heat. You will not see. So I will mix it around 130 because the water... Oh no, let's actually mix at 1 minute in order to show you what will happen. And then I will mix once more because it will not be enough, I predict. So the water will not be hot enough in order to dissolve properly. We see some amount of foam, but some particles still may float. I'm not using the smallest grind size, it's just regular one. So there is higher possibility of floating particles. As you can see, I can avoid, I can skip mixing once more, but I will mix in order to have better foam, because there are some particles, tiny ones, not a problem. And by mixing, I mean normal mixing, like all of the particles. So it should take like 10 seconds or more when you mix. As you can see, the foam is cleaner now and whiter, brighter. As for the approach, I will target first of all acidic coffee. Middle of the wrap should do, because no, it's espresso roast. So because it's espresso roast, we're gonna make a full wrap, so that we will have these acidic notes and more or less intense flavors. So I'm doing nothing. That's why I'm cutting this part out of the video all of the time. By the way, bourbon variation, normal, regular washed Colombia, which is rare nowadays because they have like processing methods all of the time, infused coffee. When we have some type of wrapping already, like from the sides, you can barely see it, but it starts to wrap, starts to move from the sides, and will change the color soon. So as you can see, it's not dark roast coffee, it's medium light, something like this, so modern medium. That's why I have brighter color. Sometimes it's darker because of the coffee itself. So even though it should have bright foam, it could be dark foam, and it's totally fine. You can see particle starts to push from underneath and makes the foam darker, like here. It's coffee particles floating, pushing the foam. And it's raising a little bit. That's a little, like normal raise. Coffee expands. You can see the surface is uneven, and you can see the wrapping motion. In these jazz, it's like ½ centimeter from the rim because of the shape. Here is narrowing, so I would consider these 40% of the wrap or something like this, even though the most color changes here. 5 minutes already. And that's like half of a wrap. I don't have space here, so I will stop here. After serving, you can see there might be some coffee particles in the foam itself. So we will get rid of them by just mixing the foam, so that the layer of coffee will be clean, foam will be clean from the particles, but will contain oils and CO2 and create this texture when you're drinking. Currently aroma is trapped under the foam, so I don't perceive too much of the aroma. When I will blow on the foam, aroma will be released, some of it, and I will have more flavors that I can recognize. Next brewing will be 8 grams because I will have more wrap in motion, if I need to wrap that much, because now we will check. Usually what you can do to get rid of coffee particles, you can mix the upper layer, just the foam, without digging too deep, like in the middle layer in the coffee itself. so that the coffee particles will just be beaten out of the foam and will sink. It is still hot, but let's try it. Let's blow on the foam, some cooked aroma, and here you can see how the foam looks like. Even just blowing will help you to get rid of particles. Pretty bright flavor, but not enough body at this point, so I will rub it more in order to make it more chewy. So the intensity is not here yet. There are some flavors, harder to recognize. Probably raspberry, a little bit of it. And some cooked flavor is brownie probably. So mainly it's two flavors. Next cup I will make it rub more in order to have more flavors, more intense ones. Why I'm doing this, why I rub in more trying to do this, is because I feel that the potential of the dark notes is not here yet. It's like plain flavor, a little bit like that. So it's too simple. While this coffee will provide way more flavor when reaching higher temperature. In a relatively warm cup, you start to perceive more flavors, like raspberry with some short acidity, which is interesting. And overall, there is more body with time. So definitely cup begins to taste better when it cools down. I will not necessarily say that this is acidic coffee in Jazva, but in espresso it will be. I'm not expecting too many flavors because of espresso roast. But there should be more than these. So now we have more space to work with. Ideally is to use 7 grams before, because of the shape and volume. So it still will be relatively, let's actually make medium speed of the heating. Should be under 4 minutes with this heating application. So there is a little bit less water to heat up. And by the way, cleaner walls because of lower amount of water. I can mix it better. That's why we will not have cooked flavor on the wall. Because sometimes we have this effect. In previous cup there was like a lot of particles which are sitting here on the hot rim. And I think I will not mix more because already plenty of foam to work with. Some other berries as well here. But for me, not enough of distinct flavor, like something which will be easily recognizable. In espresso, this coffee is way more interesting. Like it's for every day. 100%, but let's make it better in terms of brewing. Starting to rub pretty fast. And this time closer to the wall because there is a rim and it goes like from the rim. That's why it skips when we overfill it. Better wrapping control that way when we don't feel it near the narrowing, near the widening. And full wrap. And a little bit of crack, slight hint at 9 o'clock around that. I perceive more aroma currently. Don't sure what is this. But it's interesting. It's some flavor which is worth drinking. So right from the aroma, more interesting cup. And you've seen because of the shape. So here is the widening and here is the rim. Because like foam goes up, it skips this part which is filled here and just shoots upwards. That's why we have foam wrapping when we overfill it, not near the rim but in this area. And it's a little bit different wrapping motion. So less visible, less controllable. If you have similar shape, like straight walls, this shape, cone shape is easier to control usually. So here you can see the walls also have this widening and it's better to feel it like here or even lower in order to control it better, so it will not go here and wrap not this properly. So in this area, in this wall of the area, it will wrap controllably, should be. And something with leaves, berries with leaves. Some spices also. It's interesting to see will it have grapefruit now or not. And there is plum also. Probably some flavors will be visible in filter more. And we have it here, so I can probably try it as well. Why not? Same coffee, different roast level. Grapefruit is here in a cold cup. Like these pinkish notes, but without too much bitterness. Like bitterness is hints of bitterness. So nice one. Even though the wrapping wasn't perfect, when it cools down, it balances out and the flavor is more perceivable. So brownie, definitely here. Aftertaste is nice here. So long, somewhat dark, maybe cooked plum, something like this, plus brownie. But when you drink it first sip, it's like grapefruit, pink grapefruit, something like this. Let's try this in a hot cup. Oh, that's interesting. Some vanilla notes. I will not necessarily say that it is stronger in terms of body, so it's still pretty thin, but we could go even darker than this one. But this, the body starts to, it's a warm cup relatively, so it's cools down pretty fast. The flavor is better. Like overall, I can feel this aftertaste, which is grapey. Very nice. And it's smoother cup. And of course, heating was faster. Some hints of these acidic notes, but more sweetness overall in this cup. This one, yeah, it was a little bit towards acidity, obviously, because we rubbed less. Let's actually try light roast. So the range that this coffee allows you to brew with is nice. Just use a proper temperature of consumption. By using small spoon, I checking is there Quakers or not. Easier to check. And of course, what I can do here for sure is to use smaller grind size in order to have thicker flavor, more oils. Oh yeah, brighter aroma, more interesting. Just smells. You want to smell it longer. Coffee is great. I feel that it will be slightly faster. At least it sounds louder. more particles. I will mix it one more time in order to try to make it cleaner. It's not necessary, but why not? Before it's too hot. Because I don't want to disrupt the layers formation. Relatively clean. So you can see there is no strict rule when you should mix it. It depends on how fast you heating up, how big is your grind size, etc. How big is your jazz vessel. Let's heat it a little bit faster. We have having wrap already, pretty good one. Like the beginning of the wrap. For anaerobic process coffee, I will take it off right now, 5 seconds earlier. And here we have, like, this is half of a wrap, something like this, I would say. I would call it half of a wrap, but it's not that clean with this shape and this coffee and this grind size. Sometimes, and it's with this speed of heating. Sometimes it's very clean with some shapes and sizes. Sometimes you need to guess. So now what I've seen, next time I can brew it longer, more wrap or less wrap. Because now I have some reference point, and from there I will think what to do next time. Brighter foam, more like creamy foam, more standard. Let's try cooled down. Oh yeah. Grapefruit heats here very nicely. It's very smooth and delicate. Like you drink it, it starts to widen. The flavor of grapefruit is so mellow, so nice. And it goes like this, like long grapefruit, and then goes down a little bit towards some, hard to say exactly, but cane sugar comes to mind. Some plum, yeah. Aftertaste is plum-ish. You will not be disappointed with this coffee. So set number 2, espresso roast, acidic. Definitely can be brewed, and it's interesting if you pay attention to details, because now I'm concentrating on flavor, trying to read it. If you just casually drinking, you may not notice that much in the cup. I have clean palate, so I haven't eaten any food. So these will go after the coffee, because I want to perceive everything, every detail in the cup. Let's try this one in relatively hot. I know it's this kizil, but I don't know how to translate it. Raspberry, some mix of this dogwood So it's dogwood plus raspberry, this aroma combination. Definitely way brighter, way cleaner, interesting. Like, it is still relatively flat in terms of body, so I will use smaller grind size in order to squeeze out more of this like oily flavor, richer flavor. But it's a hot cup. When it cools down, it will get this layer of thickness, even with this grind size. Way more enjoyable. So light roast is the way to go. Hopefully you've learned something, and write down in the comments, do you need such videos where I adjust coffee, try something and explain something? And that's it for today. See ya.